Is it too late for me to back away at speed?
Yes.
Well, shit. Go on then. What has got you quite so gleeful?
So you know how Roman did not like my cake contribution for our shared birthday?
You presented your behind, and then farted on the cake to try and get the candle to flare up. Which it did. If memory serves correctly, Roman was extensively delighted.
Classic. Anyway, I had such fun with that, I looked into other cake stuff I could do, and I found this whole trend of things that are super realistic cakes, and then you cut into them, and they're cake, and it's surprising, and it's great. So, here, take this knife and cut into my butt. It's cake!
You have turned your rear end into cake.
Yeah, and you've got to say, is it cake, and then cut into it, and then it is cake, and it's amazing, and you get to stab my butt in the process.
Congratulations, you've reached a new level of unappetizing.
Now you're speaking my language. Warnings for the following. Depictions of gore, medical trauma, injuries, blood, death, knives, spiders, parasites, and body horror. Ready? It's a wound man, but instead of it being a man, it's Janus, so it's a wound snake. Doctors used to use these to depict all the horrible things that could happen to a fella, and so I'd use Janus as my subject matter. Let me talk you through all the injuries. Right at the top, we've got trepanning, which is drilling a hole in your skull. Then we've extracted his heart, so his internal organs are external. And we shot him with an arrow, and we've removed all the bones from this hand. We've got a broken bone over there. Then he's stabbed with a sword, and he's got a tapeworm parasite, and his name's Gary. We've crushed his pelvis with my morning star. He's got blood poisoning, which is called septicemia, and it's really gross. We've hammered in his kneecap, and spiders have laid eggs in his thigh, and we've done extreme acupuncture with a really long javelin, and we did some foot binding as well, and then we peeled his skin with a vegetable peeler. This kneecap escaped. He then got his foot eaten by rats, and then, last but not least, we amputated his big toe.
Remus. Whilst I appreciate the sheer ingenuity of your notion, I think it would be best if you did not conjure a horde of man-eating socks today. It is, of course, an hysterically funny idea, but one, I do not think the others will find it quite as amusing, and two, I am lying. Logan, how dreadful to see you. Hello, Janus. Would you care to engage in some socially obligated small talk? If we must. I wish to start a conversation with you, and so shall initiate proceedings by bringing up a topic of little to no consequence. To indicate that I'm not at all receptive to the notion of starting a conversation with you, I shall not respond in kind, echoing the topic of your chosen starting topic, even though it is of no merit, but apparently crucial step in initiating dialogue. Having gathered that you are amicable to further discussion, I shall bring the small talk portion of the conversation to a close. I will abide, and offer a statement of banality to conclude with. Ah well, it is what it is. Abridged small talk, one of Remus's better notions. Does Remus engage with our new and improved form of small talk as well? No. He tends to abruptly announce whatever he is currently thinking about. It can be somewhat startling to shift from subject matter to subject matter so quickly, but I am beginning to get a better understanding of him and the correlations of his thought process. Well, that is not a terrifying thought.
This isn't exactly one of Janus's rules, more like a public service announcement for everybody else. When placing a wager or a bet or gambling in any shape or form, Janus will try to win by cheating. And you're best to let him, not only because that's who he is and what he does, but for my sake, because he's completely insufferable when he loses.
Good grief, and it's not even Tuesday. Remus, get that thing out of your mouth, Sanders. Why is the carpet suspiciously sticky? Your middle name is get that thing out of your mouth? Yes.
No, that was a lie. Deceit. But when Janus starts pulling out the middle names, you've got to be on guard for staff swung at velocity.
Janus would surely not strike at me for something that you had done.
No, but I'm real good at ducking, and there's a pretty substantial follow-through on the staff swing radius.
Remus, the carpet.
I was trying to get the bloodstains out.
What blood?
The ones I was trying to remove so you wouldn't get mad, but Anyway, did you know that lube is absolutely no good at removing bloodstains? It just makes even more of a mess and then dries up and gets all sticky and tacky and not very nice.
Learn something new every day.
Does it help if I tell you it's cherry flavoured?
Well, that makes it completely fine then. Remedy this.
There. I put a rug over it.
That will suffice. That is why there are so many rugs in the dark side?
Yeah.
How many times must we go through this? My personal anatomy is personal.
Come on, Sneaky, give me just a little clue.
Like, when you jack off, do you use one sock or two?
This conversation is over.
Permanently.
You're no fun. Logan showed me his, you know.
Pardon?
Yeah, it was neat.
And here is me thinking that he had some shred of sense.
I'd say it was a good 8 inches.
I don't want to hear this.
By 15. His sock drawer. It was 15 by 8 inches. And very neatly organised. Why? What were you thinking of?
All right, you got me there. That one was not at all amusing.
Hey, Deep Blue, we were just talking about you and what you're packing. In your sock drawer.
Remus, I do not understand how you can derive such merriment and amusement from my sock drawer. Ah, is this a case of innuendo and or insinuation? Nope. Ah. Remus, I have no appreciation for you and think our friendship is a farce I'd rather be free of. But so help me, if you mess around with my shoes one more time, I am going to knock you straight through to the next season with my staff. Now, any ideas of how one might remove molasses from a shoe? Logan should know better, Sanders. Hey, where are you going? I do not wish words with you. Remus has advised that there should be a minimum distance between us when you begin furnishing others with middle names, namely a distance greater than that of your staff. Well, that is completely unnecessary. Will you excuse me a moment? I need to go and confer with the Angry Snake Protocol. Get back here so I can yell at you about Remus's latest obsession with monkeypox.
Not really. Janus usually quite likes a hug if offered, but you'd have to extract toenails and tonsils to try and get him to admit it. Calling it an offensive bout of warmth seems to work well, though. And if Janus isn't in the mood, well, he has ways of letting you know. That staff of his hits hard. As for getting attention when I want it, that's really easy too. All you have to do is go, uh-oh, and you've suddenly got Snaky's full attention. Or Romans, or Deep Blues, or Anxious Annie's. Or everyone if you time it well enough.
Ah, our resident Poindexter and the Phantom of the Ophidia. Ophidia is the taxonomic term for the group of reptiles that includes snakes. As long as we are referencing the musical production and not the movie adaptation Or forgive me for even mentioning the sequel.
As if I would bring up the atrocity of Love Never Dies.
The lack of brain cells from the entire cast list.
The travesty of Meg's character.
The reveal of the kid's age. the bathing beauty she cries. I strongly suggest that we do not arrange for a musical movie night in that case, so that we can administer proper assessment of his awfulness.
That actually sounds quite fun.
Logan, will you join us? Will you both chatter incessantly through the entire movie? No.
Yes, we will.
In that case, I shall respectfully decline your invitation. You could join us in our commentary by pointing out inaccuracies from the book. Given that it is a sequel, I imagine that there would be a great many. Oh, I did not consider that. The premise itself seems to be temporally unhinged from the original source material. Why, it seems that there would certainly be plenty to educate us on. Very well, I shall attend.
Oh, good. The more the merrier.
Absolutely atrocious. Roman, if you would extend an invitation to Patton and Virgil to see if they would like to come, I shall invite Remus. This evening?
This evening.
You bring the movie, I shall bring the drinks. And if Remus brings the snacks, then I would definitely partake.
Avoid the noxious nibbles. Got it.
It is that most joyous of times, where I remind a certain someone about the rules that he must abide by. Remus is not allowed to make his own cheese. Trust me when I say that you really, really do not want to know the details. I understand that this might be some cause for confusion, given my fondness for fibbing.
You do have tendency towards terminological inexactitudes. A proclivity for porkies. Porkies, derived from the Cockney rhyming slang pork pies, meaning lies.
Are you both quite done? Regardless, I will not be held responsible should anybody choose to investigate further. That means you as well, Logan. This is a pea. And this is one of Janus's most favourite teacups. And I peed in it. I believe Janus has stipulated that there is a rule about corrosive chemicals in the kettle. But, should you be set on experimenting with acids this afternoon, the lab is free. I may invite myself along to observe. Stop right there. You cannot go and cause chemical chaos. Not until you clean out the fridge like you said you would. Last week! I'm starting to feel nauseous just thinking about the contents of our fridge. Oh, cool. Come on, Logan, let's go. Remus! The fridge and the state of its cleanliness. You asked me to clean out the fridge, and I literally did that minutes ago. So sod off and let me and Deep Blue go and do some science. Well, go on then. Good luck to you, Logan. Not that you'll need it. Exactly how many literal minutes has passed since you last cleaned the fridge, Remus?
About 80,640 minutes, give or take.
So approximately 8 weeks.
Yeah, there's a clumpy, lumpy pile of yogurt in there that's almost gained sentience. I hope it eats Snaky's face off.
Have I caused you some form of personal offence? Not that I plan to apologise, you understand, but I would like to know why you appear to have taken it upon yourself to make my life incomprehensibly more complicated. On a completely unrelated note, molasses has joined custard in the list of substances that are completely banned. Not, I regret to inform you, as a preventative measure. It's an orchid, and I'm so glad that you asked, because I love orchids. They're really elegant and graceful, and they come in lots of different colours, and they used to be thought to be parasitic, but they're not anymore, except for maybe one or two species, and I've drawn them in my sketchbook all the time. There's some orchids, and there's another orchid. Do you know why orchid is called orchid? It comes from the Greek word for testicles. See, orchids have got this big tubular mass down at the root system, and it looks a bit like a ball sack, so that's how they got its name. Like I said, I love orchids. Hey, Sneaky, can a person breathe in a washing machine when it's turned on? Asking for a Nemo friend of mine. Remus, where is Virgil? Oh no. You can come out now. That's why you wanted my hoodie? To make Janus think that I was in the washing machine? Yes and no. I wanted to see what happens when you force a washing machine door open halfway through a cycle, but the idea of cleaning that up seemed like a total drag. All that soapy water everywhere. Worse than bed bugs, itchy, and I should know because my bed is full of bed bugs. Hold on, Virgil, I'll leave you there. Happily, Snakebot decided that he would indulge my curiosity and take care of all the cleaning up. Janus, is everything all right? You seem tense. I am perfectly fine. Your tone and body language would suggest otherwise. Remus caught me off guard this morning, and as a result I've had to add several new rules. I stuffed a fish inside his mouth when he was yawning. See, his snake's head gets all stretched and wide, and I wanted to see what I could fit in there, so I conjured up a haddock. It was downright delightful to have my mouth suddenly filled with a fish. A live fish. It certainly did not taint the taste of my tea afterwards. Is there a significance to the type of fish you conjured, Remus? That cannot be the only question you have about this entire situation. Not really. I guess you could say it was a spur-of-the-moment kind of thing. An ad hoc haddock. Snaky Face is otherwise occupied. Wasn't even anything I did, and so I'm going to do the rule today.
Who even wants a soft toy of themselves? I certainly don't. Childish tat, certain to clutter up the place.
Oh, yeah. Something, excessive use of blowtorches, something. He found out about the plushies. He's a little pissed off at the lack of representation of a certain snake at his side, and he's been ranting for hours.
Dark side discrimination is so delightful.
It's the jam fiasco all over again. I'm torn between hiding out in my Auntie Janus bunker until all this blows over, or maybe trying to distract him so he doesn't get himself even more worked up. And Nogan doesn't know to evacuate, so... Hey, Snaky Face, do you want to play Dance Dance I Hope We Smash Through the Floor?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I was thinking that maybe we could cheat and beat all of Patton's high scores. Sound fun?
Not at all.
Let's go. Oh, bleep. Janus, I have questions. Several of them, in fact. Of course you do. Can the impending interrogation wait until I finished my tea? Of course. Marvellous. Why don't you sit down and help yourself to a cup? Because I definitely do not plan to take my time. Oh! Snick, I saw you there. Oh, my poor sweet scarf. Did you get a scare? Not to worry. It'll never happen again, and everything is all right. You saw nothing. I saw everything. Well, who knew the super scary snake boy had a soft side? Now, help yourself to tea and biscuits. Roman is never going to believe this. Silence! I mean, what might I have to do in order to purchase your silence, Virgil? You can't buy me off. Not for sale. I suppose not. You always did do your own thing after all. Maybe you might keep my soft spot for Sneck's neck a secret. Please. I'm not agreeing to anything. Why is this so important to you? I have a reputation to uphold. I do not like having my weaknesses known. It makes me feel vulnerable and open to attack. Sorry about the fists, flight or fight. But nobody's going to attack you, Janus. Well, maybe Remus, but you're used to that. You have a lot of faith in your new light side friends. Yeah, well, it took time. But I have trust in them. Well, that's all fine and good and dandy, but I do not yet. Roman called my name stupid. My name, Virgil. So forgive me if I do not wish to open myself up for further mockery. This matters a lot to you, doesn't it? Not at all. Yes. Then I'm not going to say anything. Not unless it becomes important to speak up. Will you join myself and Snecksec for tea? I'd hate for you to linger. All right then. I shall go and brew a fresh pot of tea in that case. And Sneck, did you eat all the biscuits? Another pot of tea and some more biscuits. The last biscuit? For me? Thanks. Wait a minute. Did Remus make this? Yeah, I'm gonna pass on this just to be safe. Do you want it? One of Remus's rules. Remus is not allowed to play with his food. Specifically, Remus is not allowed to sculpt his food into distinctly penile towers that are built up so tall that they fall over and splatter everybody in the immediate vicinity. This is exacerbated by Remus's habit of adding excessive condiments to his plate. Mostly ketchup, mustard, barbecue sauce. Oh, that reminds me. Remus is to stop providing alternative names for condiments. For example, blood, piss, and poop. The less said about what he calls mayonnaise, the better. Logan, Virgil, as a courtesy I've come to warn you that Remus has a cold. Indeed, the common cold is quite contagious. Dude, that's not the reason. Whilst Remus delights in being a vector for viruses and disease, infection is not the worst thing that he can inflict.
Whee! Guess how much snot I can produce in a minute. I've got a bucket.
My phlegm! It's got all green and gunky. Poke it and see. Is he otherwise provided for? Plenty of fluids, nutritious foods, and rest? Remus doesn't rest. He just runs around and then collapses when he runs out of energy. He's been much better at making it to his bed recently. And while I have placed a ban on him making chicken soup, I have stepped in to provide, as well as providing a few garnishes I think he will appreciate. There are feathers in that chicken soup. Janus, you didn't. What? What am I missing here? Remus has a pet chicken called Choke. Had a chicken called Choke. He's lying. The chicken is fine. I used to stock coop, but I thought the feathers might be a pleasing garnish for Remus. Given how horrified Logan looked just then, Remus is going to love it. What kind of flowers would I give to bees for the bees to make honey? Easy, rhododendron flowers. Not only is rhododendron great fun to say, but when it's made into honey, it's a little bit bitter and a little bit reddish in colour, and it's known as mad honey. This is because it causes hallucinations and paralysis and seizures and sometimes death. Janus does not trust me with unlabelled jars anymore. But alas, there's about 1 million rules about what I can and can't grow in regards to plants. Namely, nothing. I'm not allowed to grow or conjure anything. But Roman has no such restrictions. Oh, and rhododendrons have bright flowers that are probably pleasing to Princey. And he's got plenty beehives hanging about as well. I wonder if I can convince him to plant some totally not sinister shrubbery. I do not care that they are historical. Get rid of them. You've joined us at a most opportune time. Remus has discovered a type of artifact known as a fascinus.
It's a penis with wings from the ancient Roman Empire. Oh, I wonder if Roman would like one.
He can have the lot of them as far as I am concerned, just so long as they are removed from here. It will come as a complete shock and surprise that Remus has become fascinated by the fascinum, and so been conjuring them in a variety of shapes, sizes, and styles. There are a multitude of iron-wrought charms, brass reliefs, mosaics, pictures, statues, and lastly, a sizable flock of the things that have been flying around the dark side all morning. I do not suspect Logan of having something to do with this particular piece of information finding its way to Remus. I do not plan to have some very pointed words with Mr. Bookworm later. Apparently I should keep my drawings of fascinuses. Fascinuses?
These are ancient Roman artifacts in the shape of a phallus, often depicted with wings. The plural is fascinum.
Thanks, Deep Blue. Anyway, I should keep my drawings of flying dicks to myself and off the internet in case I get us cancelled. But then, I had an idea. I have so many great ideas. And I figured out a way so that I can show you off my drawings and it won't get Janus mad. Do you want to see? Still here? Great. They're wieners with wings. Hey, bro.
Remus.
Has your hackneyed highness got a moment?
For you, of course.
Well, we've been getting on better.
If you don't count the small matter of you filling up my coffee mug with mud.
Yeah, mud.
Before I think too much on that, you were saying?
Well, we've been getting on better lately, and so's everyone. Even you and Janus are on sort of speaking terms, and that's good, I guess. But it's boring. So finger-licking boring. So I figure, how do you fancy being arch-nemesis once a week?
Excuse me?
Well, Patton should be my opposition and opposite, but he's terrible at it. He's baking me cookies, for crying and bleeding out loud. It's impossible to butt heads with the butthead. And he doesn't like anything I do, but he's gone and got a whole bunch more tolerant over it. So there's no chance of him swearing or shouting or throwing things at my head or walloping me with a staff or stabbing me with a sword or putting my hand in the garbage disposal.
How awfully unkind of him not to threaten you with bodily harm.
I know! It's exasperating how nice he is. So I figure I need an arch nemesis. Someone that I can grate against, because that would be great. I like that we can be in the same room together now, and that we can play insult chicken bit with weapons as well, and we can collaborate on ideas. So I figure a better way to work around this is once a week we could have official sibling disagreement day. And we could have optional weapons, and we could try to wreck up each other's day or each other, and it would be great and brutal and messy and fun.
I'm sorry, Remus, but I do not have a day a week free. I've too much to do.
Half a day? Once a fortnight? Once a month? Half a day once a month?
Let me check with Logan and see if I cannot rearrange my timetable.
Yeah! If anyone can figure out a way to schedule it into a timetable, Deep Blue can. Logan, my favourite diligent dork. Your Grace. Oh, aren't we feeling all fancy and formal with the nicknames? Your Grace is an accurate term of address for a duke. Yeah, but it's not really fitting for me, is it? Oh, you could call me Disgrace instead. If you would prefer. I would. Your Disgrace. Roman has consulted with me about your request for some form of routine rivalry. And? It is not practical to have a full day dedicated to battling. Not only will it delay Roman's schedule considerably, but given the exuberant nature of your past conflicts, it is likely to cause distraction to anyone else nearby. The recovery time afterwards also bears mentioning. Well, fuck. However, Roman has come up with an alternative idea. Something that should hopefully appease your need for conflict and opposition, whilst allowing both you and your brother to hone your skills in creativity. It should also not cause too much damage to the surrounding environment. I propose that we do a test run of the new idea. Ooh, what is it? Is it a fight to the death using only weapons you'd find in a primary school? Or who can make the biggest crater in the bathroom using only household chemicals? Or who can eat the most light bulbs? Roman has drawn up a plan for a grand creativity competition between the two of you. Yeah, well, that sounds good too. Check. Check. Welcome to the first ever creativity competition of the Mindscape. I wanted to call it Competition of Creativity Things, because you see, the letters spell out at him. I shall be providing commentary to allow our two contestants to focus on their work. Roman and Remus, are you ready?
Ready and regal.
Fuck yeah!
Then I shall draw the item that they are to create randomly from this hat. My thank you to all that have contributed ideas and suggestions. There are a great variety here. I do not see why we have to use my hat. Roman declared it tradition. The challenge is to create something out of clay. There will be an additional 3 judging criteria on which the creations will be marked against. 2 will be known from the start, and 1 will be kept secret until the final whistle blows. Janus, if you would take care of that one for me. The 2 judging criteria that are known are most colourful and the most improvised piece of equipment used to create. And of course the secret one that Janus is taking care of. A point will be awarded for the creation that best fits each of the judging criteria, and the most points out of 3 wins. Ready, set, create. And Remus has already moved to a section of the floor and conjured a large mound of clay. In contrast, Roman has got a smaller mound of clay which he has added holographic glitter to, and a potter's wheel. Remus is grabbing handfuls of the clay and stacking it upon each other in a random fashion. It is a very abstract piece to begin with. Janus, any ideas what Remus could possibly be making? It is clearly an animal of some sort. Almost definitely a squirrel. Yeah, if it had been hit by a truck repeatedly. You've got no idea, do you? That Remus might choose to recreate roadkill is not entirely improbable. Roman is continuing to use his potter's wheel and shape something smooth with steady hands. In contrast, Remus has begun to cure his sculpture with a flamethrower. He is now attempting to distract Roman with the said flamethrower. He is claiming it is friendly fire. Virgil, on the other hand, has begun gathering buckets of sand and every available fire extinguisher. Now he is arguing with Janus because some of the fire extinguishers might be filled with fire accelerant, as Remus has replaced some of the fire extinguisher contents with fire accelerant. I am not lying about this. Remus did tamper with some of the fire extinguishers. After retaliating against his brother by throwing handfuls of glittery clay, Roman has appeared to finish his creation. It seems to be a vase. It has been partially cured by the flamethrower, but Roman seems that he would like to finish off the curing process in our oven. That is strange. Our oven does not reach nearly high enough temperatures to cure clay and... Oh. Roman has added some extra buttons to our oven, including one that says Super Kiln Setting. I will have to remind him to remove that afterwards. Remus, meanwhile, has returned to his sculpture and is trying to cure it with the flamethrower. It does not seem to be working as the flamethrower is running out of fuel. Remus is now attempting to fill up his flamethrower with one of the contents of the fire extinguishers. It would appear that some of our fire extinguishers are indeed filled with fire accelerant. See, I was right! I shall have to remedy that later as well. Remus is now glazing his sculpture with handfuls of multicoloured paint. He is attempting to use the flamethrower to cure his sculpture. I shall continue to use sculpture as a descriptor because I am not quite sure what Remus has intended to create. Now the fire extinguisher is exploded, and Remus is laughing, and Virgil is dousing him with sand buckets. Remus is now rolling around in his sand sculpture, either in an attempt to remove the sand or to add the sand to his work. Roman's vase has been finished in the oven, and Roman does not look happy. We are approaching time. Ready your creations for judging. Hurry! Remus is hurriedly trying to brush soot and sand onto or off of his sculpture, and Roman has created a pedestal for his vase. He has added a red rose. That is time. Contestants, please present your creations for judging.
I have made a vase. Unfortunately, the addition of glitter has caused the clay to become brittle as the glitter and the clay cooked at different temperatures. It's not a very stable vase.
But structural integrity wasn't being judged, so don't worry about it. I am curious, Remus. What did you intend to make? I made a mess. I mean, technically, it is made out of clay, and thus adheres to the rules. And now, the judging criteria. Most colourful piece. I believe that Remus wins that round, due to the fact that his piece contains many different glazes, all in a different stage of being cured.
I had hoped that the holographic glitter might give me a stunning range of colours, but it just burnt in.
Maybe next time. The next judging criteria is most improvised piece of equipment used.
A flamethrower!
Whilst the flamethrower was indeed an interesting choice, you attempted to use the flamethrower on Roman's as well. Roman also had the ingenious idea of adapting his oven settings, please remember to change it back, to ensure that his piece was cured. I would say that Roman wins that point.
Yeah, okay.
And lastly, Janus with the secret judging criteria. The thing you would least like to have down your trousers. Ha! I win then! Because who wants a mess down their trousers?
Well won, Remus.
That was awesome fun.
It actually was. Here.
A creativity crown.
Yes, whoever wins the competition gets to keep it till next week. But just you wait, I will win it back.
We're doing this again next week.
I'm glad you both had fun, kiddos, but the place looks kind of messy now.
Loser cleans up. Bye!
Wait, no, I didn't agree to that.
Now that the creativity competition has come to a close, and we've all had a weekend to recover, it was put forward that we could do with more crafts for the twins to tackle, as well as additional judging criteria. all of which, of course, would be placed in my hat. A matter I was definitely consulted on, and am just so chuffed about. Anyway, Remus then put forward the notion that perhaps we should ask the viewers for their contributions, an idea I thought was marvellous.
You were violently and vehemently opposed, and you said that their suggestions would be everything but safe, sane, or sanitary.
Well, have you read some of the comments? Anyway, it doesn't matter who was outvoted by who. This is me formally inviting suggestions of crafts that the twins could take on as challenges, as well as judging criteria and stipulations. This is certain to end well. Hey, Sneaky. Since I know you have some problems with the concept, I'm making dinner today, and it's going to be completely real and accurate and authentic. Also, how very dare you? You could dare me to do all sorts of things. Truth or dare? Never again. Anyway, it's an Italian-inspired recipe that I'll be making today. That almost sounds palatable. Vermicelli. I sense a sting incoming. It's Italian for little worms. And there goes my appetite. Have fun, don't share, and please fail to ensure that all the pots and kitchen utensils that you use are washed thoroughly afterwards. Virgil, exactly who I was avoiding. I do not require some assistance on a small matter, and you are far from the best person to help. Those are Logan's note cards. Does he know that you have them? Yes. Why do you have them? Yesterday, Remus and Logan were talking, and Remus offered to school Logan on a number of phrases in common parlance that actually refer to something quite rude. They spoke for hours. I do not think Logan quite grasped the extensive expertise that Remus had on the subject. That actually doesn't sound like a complete catastrophe. Logan could do with picking up a few more idioms, rude or otherwise, and you've got to admit, Remus is the expert. Yes, a wonderfully wholesome activity for all involved. Except Remus was involved. He must have got bored partway through because he then started making up stuff. He has supplied a number of rude meanings to innocent phrases, as well as some creative expressions for extreme emphasis. Oh. Poppycock, statement of disbelief or denouncement of nonsense. Pronounced poopycock. Past assault is commonly held to mean that I despise you and hope that you are infested with demons. Thus, I will deprive you of protective measures such as salt. Fuck that. A commonly used term of empathetic disagreement. See also, go deep throat a cactus. I see the issue, but what do you want me to do about it? It would be terrible if you were to sift through and save the cards that Remus wrote for Logan before he started getting creative, and then deliver the actually helpful ones to Logan. Why can't you just do it yourself? Kick the bucket, a euphemism referring that somebody has passed away, shuffled off this mortal coil, is resting in peace or pieces. Kick the bucket, a euphemism for referring that a person has moved to Canada. Supplying accurate intel is something I'm skilled in and have no difficulty whatsoever. But Logan deserves better than to have his flashcards sullied with misinformation. And ironically, I do not trust myself that I could provide consistent, correct notation to the cards. All right then, I'll help. Thank you, Virgil. You know what? I think I'm going to leave one or two of Remus's creative interpretations in the stack. I'd hate for all this hard work to be wasted. Remus, I see that you are busy at the moment, but I thought I would remind you that it is not vacuuming day.
It is? You know what? Logan's been looking kind of tired lately. I wonder if I should offer to vacuum the light side as well.
You would be happy to take on these extra chores?
Sure as you shouldn't eat yellow snow. I may start on here, and you could go and ask Logan if I can suck the F word out of the light side. Logan?
Yes? Remus is about to begin vacuuming the dark side, but he has kindly offered that he can apply himself to vacuuming the light side as well, if you would like. I'm hesitant to agree, but would very much like to say yes. Hercules, the little vacuum cleaning robot that Remus made for the lab, does a fine job, but is kept very busy on account of clearing up after Remus, and thus the rest of the light side is messy. Your trepidation is understandable, but in this one rare instance unmerited. There is no catch. Remus likes to vacuum. You will need to make sure that anything you do not want sucked up is put away. Biscuits, gloves, favourite pens, important notes and so on. You will also have to learn to tolerate the compliments Remus bestows upon the vacuum cleaner. Why would compliments be an issue?
Yeah, suck it, bad boy. You love to suck good and hard, don't you? You're so hungry for it. Insatiable thing.
Oh, lewdness. No. I said no. One of the rules states that you are not allowed to interrupt me unless it's an emergency until I have had my morning cup of tea. Preferably 3. Preferably, with the nature of the emergency contained over on the light side. Thank you very much.
I know, but the timing of this one's kind of crucial, so it can't wait. Plus, I figure you would like something to cheer you up after the events of yesterday.
Which we were never to speak of again.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, may I present? The marble must have got caught on something. It was supposed to roll over and ping him on the nose and wake him up. But, what a rude robot machine.
Remus!
There he is. He just missed his cue is all.
You wretched rat, what have you done to my hair?
I dyed it while you were sleeping. Gangrenous green. Do you like it?
What do you think?
I think I should have added some streaks of brown and various shades of dysentery.
Stay out of my room.
Make me. I have way too much fun whispering shit to you at night, or stealing your stuff, or messing with your hair. I'm thinking maybe next time, a haircut.
That's it. I'm fitting a lock.
Like that'll stop me. I have a secret trapdoor to your room. It's operated by a button hidden under one of your floorboards. What are you doing with that crowbar? Are you going to bash my brains in? Are you going to chew it till your teeth go blunt?
I'm going to find that button and dismantle it, and then fix my hair. My horrible hirsute situation is perhaps more of a priority, but once I've returned my locks to their former crowning glory, then I'm going to find that button and dismantle it.
Well, good luck then.
Remus.
Yeah?
As mildly amusing as that was, I do not think it was worth interrupting my tea over. Unless... there is no trapdoor, is there?
Nope. There is a button, though, but it's not connected to anything. But it means that when Roman finds the button and dismantles it, he won't bother fitting a lock, so I can keep wandering into his room whenever I feel like it.
Very good. That was an excellent lie.
Yeah. It's time for my sketchbook and another round of the innuendo game.
If you've not played before, I've drawn a whole page of stuff that looks seemingly innocent. But it's not. It's a whole bunch of alternative terms for bits that are naughty but so nice, otherwise known as genitals. So yeah, warnings for euphemisms for genitals and crudeness and adult humour. I'll show you the page and give you a chance to guess, and then I'll reveal all.
Remus, I hope you are planning to expose yourself.
I will keep my pants on. Ready? Okay, time to reveal it. Magic wand. One-eyed monster. Wiener. A nice lollipop to suck on. And Moby Dick. Did you know in the book Moby Dick's a sperm whale, and sperm whales are called that because sailors used to think that they had a whole bunch of sperm inside their head? They don't, but it kind of looks like it. It's still called spermaceti to this day, which to me sounds like sperm spaghetti. Oh, I wonder if I could convince anybody to try spaghetti a la Remus. Snack. Salutations. I'm on my way to go and make some coffee. Do you wish to join me? Remus has informed me that one of your heads will always lie, whilst the other will always tell the truth, but you will switch around which is which. This makes it very difficult to accurately ascertain whether my statement is correct or not, though. I have the same problems with Janus sometimes. I often am concerned that he unwittingly agrees to something he does not wish to do, or is otherwise suffering through miscommunications. It is a quandary. I believe I have figured out a system for ensuring that you will accept my actions. I am on my way to go and make some coffee. I will also go and read my book. Probably one chapter, although I may read two if the chapters are short. If you wish to join me, please remain around my shoulders. Otherwise, I would ask that you disengage. Very well then, let us go. Wait a minute, where's Anxious Annie?
Probably just taking a little time for himself. But he's okay. I checked on him before I came over. He said he was fine yesterday when I asked. And he told Logan the same.
Indeed. So all you guys have been asking him how he's feeling, over and over.
Yes?
An excellent course of action. Sneaky. Seeing as there is a rule against trepanation, which is the practice of drilling a hole through the skull, how about you explain why repeatedly pestering somebody over their state of mind is about as much use as a hole in the head, and I'm going to go find Annie and make sure he's actually okay. Ah, Virgil, there you are. How did you find me? Piece of piss. I just looked for the darkest, spookiest corner, and there you are. The others all say you're doing all right because they've been checking in on you. I gotta bet that gets irksome real quick. Like raggedy bits of skin around your fingernails that you just want to gnaw and gnaw and gnaw at. I'm doing better. Really, I am. But then everyone keeps asking over and over and over, which means I have to think about how I'm doing over and over and over until it stops becoming not bad and starts becoming... I want to ask you something. Remus, I swear, if you're going to ask me how I'm feeling, I'm going to punch you in the face. There's my favourite fight or flight figment. Do you remember that time you punched me so hard I swallowed some teeth? Happy memories. Anyway, what do you reckon the lethal dosage of bones ingested is? What in the ever-loving fuck? Well, me and Logan were talking, and the subject of irrational statements came up, which can be used to interrupt somebody if they're getting super caught up in something, like an emotion or a thought. Like, say somebody's super angry, you can interrupt them with a weird question, because that makes them have to stop and think about how they're going to respond, and then maybe they're not so angry anymore. We're still collecting evidence to see if it works on snakes or not. But also, if you're getting too wound up in your thoughts about how you're feeling, then maybe an irrational statement can help jolt you out of that, so you're not just spinning around like a chicken in a washing machine. Okay, I get it. I mean, I don't actually want to think about how many bones you'd have to eat to make yourself sick. That's sick in the literal sense, not in the Logan flashcard kind of way. But I get why you asked. Thanks. If I promise it's not about bones, can I ask another question? Sure. Do you want to come to the book group today? No. Do you want me to leave you alone? No. Okay then. Did I ever tell you about the time I started swapping out Janus's hats for smaller and smaller ones to try and convince him that his head was swelling up? Story time. So it was a midweek slump and Snaky was looking far too settled for my liking. So I hatched up a marvellous plan. First, I needed to get some lemons, that's very important. And then I needed to get some hairnets, and that'll become obvious why in a second. Anyway, Snaky was in the kitchen making another pot of hot leaf juice, but he'd left both his chair and his staff unattended. So I started to sneak on over. First, I took off my socks, then my shoes. It would have probably been easier to do it the other way around. Today we have another creativity competition, and I am joined with Virgil in the commentary box. Are we up high enough to be safe? Last time there was acid, and centipedes, and glitter. I think so. The twins have created an additional space to contain the exuberance of their endeavours, as well as a viewing point high up so that we have a vantage point unobscured so we can provide commentary. Is that safety rail really secure?
I checked it over for you on Easy Emo. It is a weight-bearing limit of at least 2 corpses.
Shall we begin? I guess. Virgil, if you would please select the challenge for today. Finger painting. Roman seems pleased at this selection.
I've not finger painted in years.
And now, the judging criteria. Most three-dimensional and most sturdy. And the last one I keep secret till the end, right? Good. Would you care to start us off? Nope, too much pressure. Understandable. Ready, set, create. And Roman has begun by summoning a large easel and canvas. Interestingly, the palette of paints that he has also summoned seems in darker shades than I would have anticipated. Remus has also summoned an easel and canvas, but has backed away from it and has summoned several buckets of paint. He is now mixing something into the paint. I dread to think what he's added. It appears to be some form of coagulant or glue, presumably to add texture. Roman has begun to do the background of his painting, using the large, broad swipes with his left hand. With his right, he appears to be dipping the fingers in individually to the paint to add detail. Meanwhile, Remus has dunked his fingers into the buckets of paint, and now he's snapping them clean off and chucking them at the canvas. Finger painting. The distance between Remus and the canvas has impacted on the accuracy of his painting. Several fingers have missed. Others more have fallen to the floor. They do not appear to be sticking very well to the canvas. Roman, look out! The detached fingers appear to be squirming their way over towards Roman. Happily, Roman has set up a leaf blower, both to deter the oncoming onslaught of disembodied body parts, but also to hasten the drying process of his canvas. A very effective use of time. And now, turning our attention back to Remus. Where'd he go?
Here I am! Ran out of fingers, so I had to improvise.
Remus has a packet of frozen fish fingers. He is eating one raw, which is inadvisable, and then he is dipping the rest into the paint and throwing them at the canvas. At least the fish fingers seem to be sticking better. That is likely due to the increased surface area providing better adherence to the canvas. And with practice, his aim's getting better. I can almost make out what he's trying to paint. It's a tower. A pink tower. Remus! You promised Patton you wouldn't paint or draw or sing about or embroider any more penises. Patton is still recovering from the puppet, hence his absence today.
I didn't paint a penis. It's a hand giving you the middle finger.
So it is. Patton's still gonna hate it though.
Good.
Wait, what's Roman painting? Is that blood? Roman does indeed be finishing off his painting with red paint to represent blood. The arterial spray is quite realistic, even though it is coming from a dragon, which is not at all realistic. Princey, the paint fumes got to you or something?
I have depicted the final battle between Prince Philip and Maleficent the Dragon from Sleeping Beauty, and because who knows what the secret criteria will be, I decided to expand my repertoire to cover my bat bases.
You have a couple more moments to finish off, and then we will get to the judging.
Dunzo and done.
I hate time pressure. Now that both creations have been presented for judging, and Remus has had time to reattach his fingers, we will start to award points. The first criteria, I believe, was the most three-dimensional.
I painted in layers. Does that count?
I believe that Remus's is the most three-dimensional, due to the fact that there are fish fingers sticking out from the canvas. The second judging criteria is the most sturdy. Unfortunately, Remus's painting appears to be losing pieces at a steady rate. Bits keep dropping off.
Like it's got leprosy.
Thus, I would determine that Roman's is the more sturdy of the two. Virgil? The secret judging criteria, Virgil. Oh yeah. Thing that would have the best soundtrack. It's actually one of mine. I hope it's not too out there or anything. It is a good stipulation. I would say that Roman's piece reminds me of a crescendo.
Mine would be a punk band playing out of somebody's basement.
So, yeah, Roman's would make the better soundtrack.
Ha! I win.
Yeah, you did. Now it's time to crown you.
What do you mean by that, Remus?
Well, when I won, I got given a crown crafted by you, but this time you won, so you get to wear a crown I made to mark the occasion.
That does indeed seem fair. That's a lot of teeth.
Yeah, and remember, Roman, you get to keep it for a whole week.
Hurrah.
Cease and desist immediately. There is a rule about this. The Schrodinger's cat experiments is supposed to be hypothetical. Correction, will remain hypothetical. The Schrödinger cat experiments are a theoretical explanation for why a cat cannot exist in a quantum state. It involves putting a cat in a box with a 50-50 chance of being dead due to the half-life of a radioactive atom. See, Sneaky, it's got everything! And maybe dead cats, radioactive elements, and a whole bunch of gobbledygook about quantum physics. It is a rather famous thought experiment that is most often misunderstood. Until the box is opened, there is no way of knowing if the cat is alive or not alive. You could shake it like a Polaroid picture. That is not part of the experimental procedure, Remus. However, not knowing if the cat is alive or dead does not mean that the cat exists in both states. It only means that the outcome of the experiment is unknown until the box is opened and the situation observed. Like I said, a cat cannot exist in quantum states. Logan, curiosity killed the cat. Sanders, why are you encouraging this? I am not encouraging the experiment's recreation, Janus. I am merely discussing the thought experiment with Remus to ensure that he has drawn the correct conclusions. Oh, Deep Blue, I've just had an amazing idea. So the cat is dead or alive, right? Well, if you let me play Frankenstein, we could maybe have a third option. I fear that Remus has not drawn the correct conclusions. One of Janus's rules today. There is a limit to how many times he is allowed to make a put upon sigh when socializing. The first is a given, because the oh-so-superior serpent has to make it known that he's slumming it with us less superior sides. He's allowed to make a second if nobody reacted to the first. And a third if it wasn't him that suggested the particular activity or task that we're all doing. And then he has to suck it up and shut up. It's damned annoying sitting next to somebody doing a piss-poor impression of a deflating life jacket in the middle of the ocean. Ooh, it's nearly Halloween, which means you better be braced for all sorts of spooks and scares. I love Halloween. So does Virgil. Sneaky used to. Not so much anymore. But back in the day, it was amazing because me and Anxious Annie would be in charge of decorations and we'd set the place up all disorientating and spooky-like.
some spiderwebs over there, some dark corners over there, and lots of things that were just a little bit askew or maybe left unfinished. And Janus would be in charge of food. He would make out a whole feast of stuff that looked super unappetizing but was actually edible. I remember being so disappointed that the eyeball platter was in fact just lychee stuffed with blueberries. We used to have a great time around the spooky season, but then Virgil up and left, and Halloween was never quite the same after that. Come to think of it, I think the last proper dark side Halloween we all had together was about the time things started to go to sloppy shit. See, Virgil hadn't clocked about how much of Janus is made up of lies and deception and trickery. And that was on purpose on Janus's part. Janus hid that side of him from anxiety because he didn't want to make anxiety any worse. Sure, he told lies, but the little white ones, like everything will be okay and no, that isn't too much eyeshadow, you know. Which got Virgil really confused about why Janus loved Halloween so much. And then he saw that Janus was lying easily and slipping between disguises and pretty much taking to the whole thing like harpoon to fish. So he asked Janus, "Why do you love Halloween so much?" And I chipped in with, "It's socially acceptable deception day," and laughed because that was fucking funny. Virgil did not laugh. There was a butt-clenching silence. And then he asked Janus directly, "So the rest of the year, when it's not Halloween, do you lie to me?" There was another awkward silence. Like the kind you might get at a funeral service when you knock the urn over the cat. And then Janus, the stupid snake, said no. But Virgil was on the lookout for lies now, so he saw the untruth. It was like throwing a corpse into the lake of the trust that Virgil had had in Janus. Ripples every which way, backwards and forwards. Ripples forwards so that anything that Janus might say would be considered a lie, but also ripples backwards. Anything Janus had said in the past was now considered to be potentially untrue. Things got not good after that. It should have been really fun. Two sides arguing with each other all the time, but it was kind of boring and tense and awkward and lots of sulking and hissing. Nobody wanted to do anything with me, and definitely they didn't want to do anything altogether. I tried to make them both angry at me so they'd have common ground again, but that didn't work. And eventually Virgil left, and that really sucked. So I guess I understand why Janus doesn't like Halloween so much anymore, but I miss Halloween. Remus. The rulebook? But I ain't done anything against the rules, and I'm not bored. Today I went to make myself lunch. A baked potato with cheese was my intention. I have not made any cheese. I am aware, not only is it one of the rules, but I'd Virgil check over the cheese in the fridge in case it had been inflicted by an act of Remus. He has terrible sense for these things. Anyway, the cheese was fine, but when I reached for the potato, it bit me. Oh yeah! I made the potato spicy. Vegetables should not have teeth. Wait, it's coming up for Halloween. What about pumpkins? What about pumpkins? Well, when you carve them, they have mouths and eyes and boils and sometimes teeth. Can pumpkins be an exception? With the exception being pumpkins. I do not hope that you take advantage of my leniency, and especially not in the direction of the light side. I am not looking for the meddling miscreant that has been messing around on the dark side. And I strongly suspect you, Remus.
What did you do this time, kiddo?
I haven't a clue, but let's be honest, because Snaky won't be. If there's something gone wrong in the mindscape, it's probably something I've done. But
Don't you want to know exactly what it is you're in trouble for?
No, it's way more fun if the exact flavour of Snaky's fury is a surprise.
Somebody tampered with the clocks. Instead of putting them back 1 hour, they were put back 2. As a result, my day has been going smoothly and not at all out of sync.
Hold the dong, that wasn't me. I mean, I did put the clocks back because it's fuck about with clocks day, but only 1 hour.
Ah, I also put the clocks back 1 hour this morning, as I assumed that neither yourself or Remus would be inclined to get up at 1 a.m. to ensure accurate timekeeping.
So it was a simple mistake and nobody's going to get murdered for it? Boring.
What is my favourite flower? Snapdragon comes to mind. They are eye-catching and bright, and their flowers are shaped a little bit like a dragon's mouth, or a snake. They also bloom in a range of colours. My least favourite, of course, is yellow. I also do not have any appreciation for artificial flowers, the best of which can often be hard to distinguish from their natural counterparts. True flowers will wilt and wither over time, whilst fake flowers will persist. Makes you think, doesn't it? Ah, Logan, I was wondering if you have seen our dear friend the Duke today. Not today. It has been very quiet, and I want to know what he is up to. Janus, do you not think you are doing exactly what you accuse Patton of doing when he assumes the worst of Remus? Just because it is quiet is no reason to suspect that he has done anything untoward. Remember, this is Remus we are talking about. He does at least 4 untoward things before breakfast, and I do not have my reasons. Given that in the past I have misunderstood your rationale, for example, presuming that the rulebook was a tool that you used to exert control over Remus rather than trying to prevent his boredom, I would ask for further clarification, please. Seeing as you are so very unobservant, you'll have missed that I often ask Remus what he's done now, or what he's up to, yes? Well, part of that is that I love being surprised by whatever is oozing under the kitchen sink or lurking behind the sofa or dripping from the ceiling. But it also allows Remus an opportunity to point out his latest endeavour. More often than not, Remus likes for his creative exploits to be acknowledged. This means that he can finish and move on with the next great idea. Then why get so angry when Patton inquires what Remus has done now? Because when Patton wonders aloud what Remus has done now, he wants the answer to be nothing. I want the answer to be something, because that means that Remus is being Remus and he is not bored. Even if the something happens to be wet or hazardous or terrible or repulsive or noisy or all of the above.
Hey, Noggin, snake butt.
Your disgrace. Remus.
I got a question. Which of the two of you is taller?
Because we are based on the same person, Thomas Sanders, I would ascertain that we are the exact same height. Well, clearly I am taller. Falsehood. Yes, that well-known debating tactic of shouting loudly to prove that your point is correct. It is an easy matter to tell. Janus, you will need to remove your hat. I think you'll find that this is my actual height.
Janus, I assure you that I am the tallest. Let us stand back to back then to check, if that's what it will take to convince you.
Look out!
Hey!
Thank you, Virgil. Your vigilance is appreciated. I knew he was going to do that.
I was going to try and beat my record for the most sides knocked out by a single blow, and you ruined it. Hey, Patton, do you know what we haven't had in the longest time? A big old group hug.
Snake butt rule time. Janus is not allowed to throw his drink over anyone, even if he's really annoyed. Or super insulted. Or super insulted and really annoyed. Red wine stains, and I keep getting blamed for stains and marks and puddles and splashes that weren't even me. Hey Pats, it's time for another Creativities United match with me and Roman. You coming or what? Coming.
I'm not so sure, kiddo.
But Roman really appreciates having a large audience. And I promise not to make any more genitalia puppets.
You chased me round the room with them.
Yes, I did.
I don't think watching the competition is really my thing. But you and Roman, go have fun.
Fine. Go be frumpy somewhere else. Like in the range of a wood chipper. Or in a malfunctioning submarine that's submerged and the air is slowly running out and the surface is miles away.
Kiddo?
Huh? Oh, sorry, I was miles away.
And though the fell beast was in absolute awe, it did bare its terrible teeth and gnash its crooked jaw. But the prince stood steady, and the prince stood brave, and hefted his weapon for the people he'd
Yo,
saved.
bro,
And
you've been prattling on like a prat for hours. Your big fight scene has only just been posing so far. There's been no actual fighting or blood or guts or hemorrhaging or anything. This ain't even got an end.
we are only in the second act. There's 4 more to go before the epic conclusion.
Unless the fight actually happens in the next stanza, your time's up.
The weather patterns start to shift to a thematic storm.
Time's up. My turn. It's time for my reading of my poem for this week's creativity competition. Thank Newton.
What was that?
He said that he regrets that time is in such short supply.
Ah, not to worry. I shall regale you the whole thing at a later date. From the beginning, naturally.
Oi! Quiet now, or I'll superglue your lips shut. My poem is called Virgil. I do not like this in the least. Something terrible is going to happen. There is no need to panic, Virgil. Remus has written a poem in your name. Like I said, something terrible happening now. Better brace yourselves. Virgil. You're deep like your colour, amethyst. And I got to confess that you are missed. I miss your moping, and I miss your smirk. I miss the way that you call Snakebutt a jerk. I miss the way you'd shout that made my hair stand on end. I miss you, Virgil, my spectacular friend.
Remus, that was lovely.
Remus, that was very much your style. Wait for it. I wasn't done. But since we have been hanging out together, you'll be pleased to learn that my aim has got much better. So stand right there on that X that I marked on the floor, and I'll show you, Virgil, that I won't miss you anymore. Remus, what have you got there? Did I not mention that this is a piece of performance poetry? Oops. My bucket is filled with water balloons filled with lumpy milk and rusty nails and... Whoa, look at him go. Hey, Captain Killjoy. Remus. Not kiddo? Must be serious then. I've just seen Virgil. He was rushing about muttering something about cyanide-scented candles and trying to make sure that he'd gathered them all. Yeah, he picked up on that one quicker than a greased turd down a water slide. I think I'll use something less chemically next time. Like belladonna. That's a flower. And it's poisonous. I know I said I was going to let you be, but I really think you might need to ease up when you're interacting with Virgil. Why? You might make him anxious. He is anxiety. Well, that doesn't mean he likes being overwhelmed and panicked. Did he say that he was? No, but I worry about him. And you think I don't? But you greased the top of the fridge. You know he likes to sit up there. What if he'd fallen and hurt himself? And you make him nervous and afraid with poisons and tripwires and traps, and even your poem. You threaten to throw horrible things at him.
Yeah.
I know you have a reason for doing what you're doing, but I don't understand. Could you please explain a bit more for me?
Look, Calpa, Virgil is anxiety. Same as I'm creativity and Logan is logic. So you gotta let him be anxious, because that's what he is. Not all the time, because we're each more than our roles, but sometimes at least. And yeah, I purposefully and deliberately tried to make him twitchy, because he's great at it. He might have jumped up onto the fridge to sit on it, but I'll bet you bees in the butthole that he checked beforehand. And he spotted my poison-scented candles before anybody else did, because he just knew that something in the room was different. He is fast and strong and perceptive as fuck. What with all the rubbishy bits of being anxiety, don't you think he might like the opportunity to show off how helpful it can be? How helpful he can be? You all agreed that anxiety was vital, but anytime he starts showing signs of being anxious, you all tell him to calm down and just relax and do some sodding breathing exercises. Let him be. He's great at being vigilant and alert and reactive. Unless he's having a panic attack, with all the shivering and the gasping and the not having a very good time. That's when you should do your thing.
My thing?
Yeah, the sappy shit. Like the supportiveness and the sentimentality and so much sweetness it makes my teeth hurt just to think about.
Oh, Remus, I didn't know that that's what you thought about me. That's actually kind of nice.
You keep that sentimental drivel to yourself. I'm not nice, I'm nasty. Don't you forget it. Or I'll bake a whole bunch of raisin cookies and mix them up with chocolate chip ones.
That's not so bad.
Fine, I'll make rat poo cookies so you can't even tell what you're biting into before you're too late.
Ugh.
Are we all done here or what? I want to get back to my sketching. I'm drawing new and improved forms of parasites.
Okay, kiddo. Your disgrace. I was about to go and check on our slime mold experimentation. I believe the findings will show that while a slime mold can derive nutrition from blood, the organism prefers oatmeal.
Neat! Let me just finish off my maths and then we'll go to the lab. Don't worry, I won't show you my workings. What are the rules?
For which I am grateful. Your methodology when performing complex mathematics is disconcerting.
However, I do get the right answer in the end.
Which is somehow even more upsetting. You use logarithmic tables for multiplication. It should not work. I find myself curious. I acknowledge the risk I take in asking, but Remus, what are you working on?
Well, I was thinking about bones. And boners, but mostly bones. See, the way I figure it, the average person has less than the average number of bones in their body. Like you. You have less than the average number of bones in your body.
Well, yes. I'm imaginary, as are you. There's a case to be stated that we have no bones at all.
Yeah. But if you were real, an average person, you'd have less than average bones.
I do not follow. The average person, by definition, should have the average number of bones.
That's not true in this case. Even if you didn't have some horrible and hilarious accident that removed some of your limbs, most people have less than the average number of bones.
Explain further.
For starts, some people are pregnant. That means that they've got not just their bones, but the extra bones from the sprogling in their body. Hey, how come we don't refer to babies as parasitic?
An organism that is parasitic must be a different species to the host.
Good to know. Anyway, you factor in that babies have more bones than adults. Lucky babies. And that means that you've got a whole percentage of the population skewing the average upwards, which means the average person has less than the average number of bones.
Interesting.
Not me, though. I've got more than average. Skulls, metatarses, femurs, you name it, I've got it, because I've got a great big collection. All done.
Thank you, Remus.
What is going on?
Remus is being helpful today.
Remus is always exceptionally helpful, and I'm not at all concerned, but, if I might inquire into the exact nature of his help.
The toilet was blocked, and Roman and Virgil were arguing over who would fix it, but then Remus offered.
A smelly and gross job that nobody else wanted to do because it was so unpleasant. It was my pleasure.
How kind.
What was the problem anyway, kiddo? Somebody put an apple down the toilet.
Was that someone you?
Yeah.
Oh, Remus.
But you don't have to worry about food wastage because I washed that apple off and put it back in the food bowl.
How considerate. As much as you enjoy discussing, and only discussing, the Schrödinger cat experiments, there is much more to quantum theory and physics than that, Remus. It is not gobbledygook. It is a science.
I just don't get it.
Here, let me try to explain. Take this pen, for example. You're not going to give that back, are you?
Only when you least expect it, like when you're sitting down on the toilet or about to eat a big bowl of soup.
Now that you have said that, I would not expect the pen to be suddenly placed within my hand. It was worth an opportunistic attempt. Anyway, let us imagine that I have a pen. It is made up
Hang
of...
on, does it matter if the pen is imaginary?
It would be imaginary either way. We are all imaginary figments.
Good point, carry on.
The pen is made up of plastic and ink and metal for the nib. Yes, Remus?
Instead of ink, could it be filled with blood?
Yes, but that is beside the point.
The point could be sharp.
If there were a pen in my hand, which we are pretending that there is, it could have a sharp point.
Sharp enough to stab out somebody's eye?
It does not matter. It is an imaginary pen used for illustrative purposes.
Oh, the pen could be used to illustrate a baby with its teeth growing wild and fast and right through its skull. Sorry, you were saying.
So, the pen is made up of matter.
I thought you said it wasn't matter.
I said it didn't matter if the point of the pen was sharp or not.
So you're saying that's not the point?
Remus?
Yes?
Would you please hold all questions and comments until I am finished speaking?
Okay.
The pen is made up of matter, also known as atoms when analysed on a molecular level. These atoms, in turn, are composed of protons, neutrons, and electrons. We see it because light particles, photons, bounce off the surface of the pen. Neutrons, electrons, protons, and photons all interact with each other on a subatomic scale. Therefore, quantum physics is the study of the interactions of everything in the universe on an infinitesimal level.
Even ideas?
Even what?
Can quantum physics observe ideas? Like, do ideas have protons and neurons and all that other shit? Oh, does a terrible idea have the same number of electrons as a great idea? Because you said everything in the universe, and my universe definitely contains plenty of terrible ideas.
I do not know.
Oh, well, you know what this means then.
That I have failed as a source of knowledge.
No, it means we get to go and hit the books to find out more.
Do you mean read?
I said what I said. Come on.
After a period of studying, I present the conclusion to Remus and I's research into quantum theory. Remus kindly provided the reading material, though I think I would have preferred if he had brought them over to my desk rather than striking them with a cricket bat to send them in my general direction. I am still not quite sure what the Book of the Processes of Sky Burial had to contribute, nor the collection of, and I quote Remus here, saucy limericks. However, we have come to the conclusion that quantum theory and physics does indeed have an impact, even on intangible concepts such as ideas and thought itself. Thought is generated by electrical and chemical processes and reactions within the brain. These reactions are governed by the minute interactions of subatomic particles, same as with any other physical object. We may still not fully understand thought and memories and the impact that quantum physics has upon the processes of the brain. But, as Remus says, that just means that there is more to learn and discover, and isn't that just so exciting? I do like Remus's reframing of not knowing an answer as an opportunity to learn more. Patton, I have a request to make of you.
Sure, kiddo. Anything that you need.
You agreed already? That was remarkably difficult.
Should I not have?
Perhaps it would be prudent to practice hearing a request before immediately agreeing. For when somebody else is asking, naturally.
Okay.
Remus is currently in the dark side kitchen. He dropped a marble down the garbage disposal and is attempting to retrieve it, with the garbage disposal still on.
I'm having a marvellous time.
He is having a marvellous time. However, due to the sprays of blood and bits of skin and scattered cloth about the place, I find myself without a sanitary environment in which to make tea. I was wondering if I might prevail upon you to make use of the light side kitchen. Please.
Of course, Janus. We have some tea bags and plenty of sugar
No
and...
need. I shall be bringing my own loose-leaf tea. And a proper teapot. And a timer, since you seem to lack the most basic of tea-making supplies.
That sounds just lovely. I'll let everyone know you're up and making tea for us all.
I, of course, intended to bring enough to share. It might be something medical and scientific, and you like scientific things, therefore, logically, you should be the one to go. Maggots indeed have scientific merit in that they can be utilised for highly effective wound cleaning. However, given that Remus has little to no interest in positive applications of medical science, I would posit that he is doing something else with the maggots. He did take a great deal of things from the fridge, so he's definitely not feeding them. Did he take any meat products? No. Then he is likely breeding them. Flies like to lay their eggs on meat products so that the young larvae have a good source of nutrition. Ugh, delightful. I am desperately keen to see what Remus is up to. I also do not want to go and see what he is doing, but one of us should, so that we have some intel as to what he is currently engaged with. In the interest of keeping things civil, why don't we toss a coin rather than arguing? I was not arguing. Spirited debate, then. Very well, flip the coin.
I call heads. Look, heads. You go and see what that miscreant is doing with all those maggots.
Ahem. Remus.
Hey, Noggin, did you know that Snakebutt cheats at coin flips?
I do no such thing.
He's a double-headed coin, heads both sides.
He does he?
Remus, my lucky coin is supposed to be a secret.
I would declare the coin flip results null and void then, due to a skewed equal expectancy.
Since the Snakebutt cheated, I'd say he has to come and see what I've been up to.
That does indeed seem reasonable.
Well, this outcome is exactly what I intended. Come on, Sneaky, I want to show you my maggot collection. I've been breeding them to be extra big and squishy. Noggins a bit mad at me about the average bone thing. He thinks I don't know the differences between averages, which I totally do. I just ignored them because it was more fun that way. And Logan literally gets annoyed whenever anybody uses the word literally wrong, so what's the big deal? But then he went and told Snaky, and then Janus became a madder adder because they had a huge argument for ages and ages about averages and misinformation on the internet, which is something that Janus actually feels kind of strongly about. Who knew? So they both agreed a clarifying statement ought to be made. But Logan can't do it because he would go into far too much detail and take hours, and Janus couldn't do it because he would tell you the wrong meanings for stuff. Which leaves me offering an explanation about averages, not entirely of my own free will. So, about the mistake I made. There are 3 types of averages: the mean, the mode, and the medium, and they are used and calculated for different things. That's why I was wrong to compare the mean average number of bones in a person's body with the mode average number of bones in a person's body, because they are 2 different things and they are not really interchangeable. It's kind of like comparing a prize-winning pigeon with a prize-winning pigeon pie. There are some similarities, but they are fundamentally different things. Remus, tell me that is not a water pistol with something suspiciously yellow in the tank.
It's gunk!
Ugh. Gunk is a slime mold that Remus claims is a pet. And after arduous discussion on the topic, I've been forced to concede that it does not break any of the rules. Doesn't mean I have to like it, though. What are you doing with that ghastly thing?
Roman was asking if I had any pets, and I said sort of, and then Roman got curious, so I'm going to go and introduce them.
In the light side?
In the light side.
Ah, well, carry on then. You know, part of me thinks that I should perhaps go and warn Roman about the oncoming horror that is about to be inflicted upon him. An even more persuasive part of me thinks that maybe I want to go and watch. From a safe distance, of course. Logan, you are exceptionally late. I thought that I would come and offer my assistance in helping you set up for book group this week. Very well. You may set the kettle to boil, and then kindly vacate the kitchen. I believe I could be of more help than just setting the kettle to boil. You should consider yourself privileged that he's allowing you to do even that. No matter how much he trusts you, Snakepot's super fussy about his tea. Won't even let me look at his tea leaf caddy anymore. You gave it spider legs. I stand by my decision.
Janus, there are 3 kettles in your kitchen.
There are many duplicates of equipment in the kitchen. This is because one is for public use and the other is for Remus's exclusive use. These are not interchangeable. I'd had that rule fairly recently. And the 3rd kettle is for boiling eggs.
Remus, you cannot possibly like boiled eggs so much that you require a separate kettle.
It is myself that loathes a boiled egg.
Oh, so which of the kettles should I use for boiling water for tea?
I suggest the one on the left. What? I'm not messing with the tea-making supplies. Perhaps the most important rule in saving you from my ire. Logan, it is not recommended to follow any of Remus's suggestions.
Then which kettle should I use?
The one on the left. One on the left. The kettle on the left has never not been used to find out what happens when you boil soup dry. Ha! You know how Patton always says that fire is never the answer. Well, in this case, it was. Hey, Sneaky, are you using double negatives again? You know that gives you a thumping great headache. I'm fine. It is all right, Janus, Remus. I have filled all of the kettles up with water and set each to boil. That means that Janus can use whichever kettle he wishes to make tea, and that there is a kettle full of hot water for boiling eggs should you wish to. I also suspect that the kettle that Remus uses would benefit from a rinse out with boiling water. You're so smart. Remus, I am not paid enough for this Sanders. The blender is making terrible and potentially rule-breaking sounds. What are you doing?
Not breaking the rules.
The rules state that I cannot put the following in the blender. Marbles, a fork, forks plural, fruit or vegetables with faces drawn on, acid, anything that has been up my nose, string, your gloves, my hand, any hands, rancid anything, soft toys, anything of Romans, clay and gunpowder.
So why is it making that racket?
I put a demon in the blender. It's possessed now. I'm not very happy about it. I hope it starts spewing out ectoplasm everywhere.
Time for more tea and... You cut that shit out right now. I am doing battle with a demon-possessed blender, and Pattern wants me to mind my tongue. Of course, Pattern. How discourteous of me. I know that you strongly prefer to make tea to your own preference, Janus. However, I wonder if I might prevail upon you upon the use of the dark side kitchen in order to make some coffee for myself. Of course. You'll need this. What is it? Holy water. It's actually not, but the demon-possessed blender in the kitchen doesn't know that, and it's a handy way to get it to behave. I think I might have a cup of tea instead. Terrible idea. Help yourself. I feel it pertinent to ask, why do you apparently have a demon-possessed blender in your kitchen? Do you want the long answer or the short answer? A full explanation would be the most helpful. I decided that the one thing the dark side was lacking was a kitchen appliance set on maiming every living thing that it sees. That it makes quite the racket is a fortuitous additional happenstance. And the short answer? Remus. I do not care how possessed you are. I want my morning cup of tea, preferably without all this hassle. Snag. Don't be careful. I mean, be careful. You leave my scarf alone, you demon-possessed blender, or I'll... Who's such a good little demon-possessed blender-crushing scarf? Yes, you are. Oh, I think that I shall make a pot of tea for 3. And some extra biscuits for my little hero. Snaky.
Remus! Oh, I am not at all glad to see you.
That would be a first. Why have you got your arm stuck in the cupboard?
I was putting away towels and something grabbed me. I can obviously pull myself free whenever I want.
That could be any number of some things. I've been busy lately. What does it feel like?
Gloriously wet. And I think that there are suction cups.
That doesn't actually narrow it down as much as you might think.
I am not going to ask you why you have multiple things with suckers, but I will beseech you for your assistance in getting it off me.
Oh, it's my hive mind tentacle monster. See, I made a massive tentacles, and then I give it a hive mind. It's latched onto you good and proper. How attached are you to that arm, literally and figuratively?
Remus!
Keep your trouser snake on. We could use salt to make you less appealing to hold, but that could just act as seasoning. What are your thoughts on acid?
Acid would not be appreciated. In fact, acid is never appreciated. Can't you just stab it or something?
No can do. There is a rule about not stabbing anything next to your person, remember?
I believe I could be persuaded to make an exception.
Well, I'm not gonna. I don't want to hurt it. I haven't even had a chance to name it yet.
Remus.
That would be a terrible idea for a name because it would get very confusing. All right. Have you thought about just letting it ride around on your arm? It seems to like it there.
I think not.
Well, don't come crying to me when you find yourself woefully lacking in the tentacle department. Come on, buddy. Let's let the grumpy snake go. There we go.
At last. I am not going to take this opportunity to put as much distance between myself and that thing as possible.
Bye! Photoshopped. Staged. That's just an outright scam.
Hey, you sneak butt.
Hello, Remus. Complete fabrication.
Oi!
Oh.
Aren't you going to ask why I'm foaming at the mouth?
Would it be too much to hope that you've potentially got round to brushing your teeth on a regular basis?
I give myself rabies.
That would have been my second guess.
I thought you'd have more of a reaction.
Oh, I assure you I'm shook to my core. Absolutely devastated.
You're no fun.
I'm gonna go bite Roman.
No.
Hmm?
All right then. Go and chew on your sibling as much as you like.
Eee!
Well, that photo is taken completely out of context and it's out of date. 0 out of 10. Scam. Gross exaggeration. Scam. Remus is cooking. I am filled with an unparalleled delight in imagining what culinary catastrophe he is about to inflict. Dinner is ready. Ah, but is dinner edible? Yes. Edible and survivable without immediate medical intervention? Yes. I see you are using a casserole dish. Am I to be treated to another batch of your delectable dog food casserole? It's coq au vin. What? You like wine. There's plenty of wine in this dish. It is the other part of the name of the dish that is causing me no small amount of concern. Coq is French for chicken. And is chicken what you used in the dish? No. Ever since I got Choke, I've kind of gone off chicken. I have a pet chicken called Choke. But I very cleverly came up with an alternative meat source. No matter how much wine you have put into it, I refuse to eat genital stew. Well, that's very close-minded of you, because lots of dishes are made out of genitals. There's prairie oysters, and skewered sheep penises, and surgeon gonads. Umi. I've tried all of them, and I have to say that they're very tasty. Or maybe I should say testy. Anyway, this dish here is not coq au vin, in case that's what you're wondering. Oh, I am not pleasantly surprised. I made it with cockroaches. I would like to amend my statement to not pleasantly surprised.
Oh no!
Remus has done an absolutely atrocious job of dusting the place recently.
Dust is bits of dead skin, so if you snort it, it's kind of like cannibalism.
I am going to focus on the fact that the area is more clean, and not what you might have done with the collected dust. Anyway, as a reward, I have decided to temporarily lift the rule restricting Remus from playing with his food.
I'm playing sacrifices.
I am not aware of this game.
That's because it's one I made up. See, you get a cheese fondue and a whole bunch of stuff to dip in. And then you poke something up the plank and into the fondue. It's so much fun. Give it a try.
All right. When does the fun start?
When you don't be all boring with it. Here, I'll show you. Oh no, please don't push me in the lava. I've got so much to live for, and I'm allergic to being thrown into volcanoes. No, please, mercy. Aye, my face is melting off.
You are using the hot cheese as a substitute for lava.
Yeah, and then you get to take a skewer and stab the food and then stick it in your mouth, and it's all hot and gooey and sad because it got sacrificed.
May I take another try at this game?
Sure.
I am a little scientist, and I am going to study the temperature range of this volcano for scientific merit. Alas, I have not secured adequate footwear, and I am slipping. I fear there will be quite the incident report to follow. Ah! The cry would have been cut short due to the sudden impact into the lava.
That's brilliant! Now stab it and eat it.
Given that I can spot several inedible objects within the fondue, I think I shall decline.
Oh well, more for me. No, you can't do this. It's my birthday. Ah!
Logan possesses an undoubtedly vast intellect, but he does have one or two blind spots. As someone not at all involved in maintaining such secrets, I can only offer the advice that self-reflection is a good way to peer past what has been hidden, but only if one is willing to accept what the hypothetical mirror of self-discovery is going to show you. Sometimes I like to take a deep breath and take a moment to look within and find the absolute limits of what I am willing to tolerate. Remus, if you thought the answer was 3 death whistles nailed to a frisbee, you were very much mistaken.
Death whistles are awesome. They sound like screaming and agony.
I am aware.
So you're saying you don't want to play frisbee with me?
Maybe, once my ears have stopped bleeding.
Really?
No! Here, I made cookies for everyone. I'm a dip mine in honey and frog spawn. Thanks, Bert. None for me, Patton, but the smell is pleasing. Janus, want one? No, I don't want one. Oh. Oh, perhaps deceit is doing his thing again, Patton. You know, the lying. I really do not desire a cookie, not when they are freshly baked and smelling delightful. There you go, Janus. I am not at all grateful. Virgil was just helping you out. And I said I was not at all grateful. You've got to flip it round. Janus is saying he is grateful. I think. Seems kind of rude, though. No, rude would be hacking up a whole heap of phlegm and then coughing and spluttering all over the plate. I'd be happy to provide demonstration. It's all right, Pat. I'm used to it. I used to get really stressed out never knowing if he meant what he said, but then I realised it's just his way, you know? I think we are all getting used to Janus's inclination for inaccuracies. Whilst it might not always be clear what Janus means when he speaks, we should not pressure him to speak in a manner disingenuous to him. Exactly. Forcing me to make my words clear would be terribly convenient for all involved. Was that a double bluff, Janus? Double as in 2, to match his Remus emblem. So instead of telling a lie, you are telling the truth, but assuming that you will be taken as lying, and thus your meaning will also be obscured. Why change tactics like that, Janus? Deceit can be more than lying. Sometimes it's obscuring the truth. What do you do, Janus, when you actually want something? Roman raises valid point, Janus. If there was an emergency, it would be beneficial to have a clear form of communication to prevent misunderstandings. After all, honesty is the best policy. I know you prefer to lie, and that's fine for you, but maybe if you told the truth a little more, you'd build up some stamina for it. Like building up resistance to poison. Or adding stress upon stress upon stress into a bone until it splinters. I really prefer the first option. So what do you say, kiddo? Want to try telling the truth? Just for a little bit? I think that this is an excellent idea.
I could always knock you out so you don't have to.
Or you can stop whenever you like. Just say the word. But how would you know that he really wants to stop, as his words may be an accurate representation of how he truly feels? Oh, very well. I will agree to this venture. but I do not like it. So Pat, these cookies are really great. Absolutely tasty. You okay there, copycat in the hat? Of course I'm not. The truth tastes wrong on my tongue. We should stop. But he's doing so well. What do you think, Logan? Myself and Janus have had long, honest conversations before, and this did not seem particularly arduous to him. The sudden difficulty in speaking the truth seems suspicious. I hypothesize that this reaction in itself is a deception, and that Janus is pretending that speaking the truth is problematic for him. An interesting hypothesis. Alas, it is not one that is easy for me to disprove. It is hard to determine what level of difficulty Janus has in speaking in a manner non-fabricated, as he is so very rarely veracious. Voracious, like a swarm of locusts or a pack of hungry squirrels near a playground. That is voracious, Remus. To be veracious is to speak the truth. It's up to you, Janus. We can stop if you want. It's not like him to fall so silent. And I don't think I've ever heard him speak this much truth before either. Yes, it is difficult, but I will persist. Why would you do such a thing? To show that I have capacity for honesty sometimes. Sneaky? Janus, stop this. Do not put yourself through further suffering. What can I say? Truth hurts. This was a terrible idea. And that's my job. Stay in your fucking lane, people. Come on, Sneaky, we're leaving. All right, Sneaky Face, what do you need? I am fine. My plan to assuage the others for forcing the truth out of me in future worked a charm. I had not anticipated how much Logan questioning me would help sell the charade's authenticity. It went exactly as I hoped it would. Why do they insist on honesty anyway? Don't they know how vulnerable that makes them, having all their truths out there for anyone to see and manipulate? You really think the lighty lights are set on sniffing out your secrets like some sinister scheme? I thought Annie was the conspiracy king. Speak of the emo. Hey, Virgil. Everyone was getting worried, and I was too, so I've come to check that everything's all right. Everything is fine. Everything is far from fine. He's having a crisis of candor. Sneaky thinks that being too honest will leave him vulnerable and open to manipulation, and I keep telling him to calm the fuck down before he gives himself a hernia. Well, it kind of makes sense that Janus is the one that would fear being manipulated most, since he's the most manipulative one around here. But, that's part of your whole deal. I don't like it, but people do sometimes lie. And spotting if somebody's lying or not is really important. And Thomas can only do that if he understands that everyone has the potential for deception, including himself. So you show how and where and why a lie might be utilised so that Thomas can spot it better. And therefore it makes sense that you'd see more lies and deception and manipulation around than most, because it's part of your function. Same way as I see disaster and calamity around every corner. But, really, are you okay, Janus? After all that, you want me to answer honestly? I want you to say that you are. I am fine. And mean it. I will be fine. This little authenticity adventure has taken more out of me than I anticipated. I do not think I deserve a long bath and a few hours to myself to recuperate.
Oh, I could help. I could fill up the bath with spit. It's like bubbles. Or maybe not. But I could fill up my own bath with spit and spittle bugs and camel spit and spitting cobra venom and spitting cobras and...
Here, I thought you might like another cookie. You don't have to say anything, I'll just leave it there. I am not at all grateful. Hey, short video today just with some further information about that last storyline, which was Bitter Truths. I got asked the question, was Janus faking the coughing? Yes, he was. He started out to pretending that telling the truth was difficult for him because he wanted sympathy and he wanted not to be asked in the future. However, Logan caught on and pointed out that Janus was probably faking this difficulty. Janus didn't like that, and so he doubled down and refused to confess. He then got stuck in a situation that he couldn't extract himself from without confessing that he indeed had been lying, and he didn't really want to do that in front of everybody, so he started to cough, and that was in order to provoke Remus to remove him from the situation. He then realised that he couldn't tell the truth and it wasn't a matter of self-control and that the honesty is still very scary for him, and I think he feels quite guilty and annoyed at himself that it isn't as easy as just telling the truth. Everyone had a truth to say in that storyline, even though it was not easy to hear, hence the title Bitter Truth. Logan's was, Janus is pretending that speaking the truth is problematic to him. Patton was, or you can stop whenever you like. That was the truth. Janus could stop whenever he liked, but that meant that he would have to confess that he was having difficulty. Roman. Deceit can be more than lying, sometimes it's obscuring the truth. Roman in this AU has been learning a lot more about Janus and deceit, and so has actually got a better understanding now. Remus. Adding stress upon stress upon stress onto a bone until it splinters. Remus is spot on here. Janus, when he's put under pressure, tends to lash out when he reaches breaking point. Virgil. It kind of makes sense that Janus would be the one that fears being manipulated the most, since he's the most manipulative one around here. That is a true statement. It's just not very easy to hear. Virgil then goes on to explain that he understands a lot more about Janus and what Janus is now, though. And then Janus's last one, I will be fine. The truth. He doesn't like it, but it is. I recently hit the milestone of making over 700 Remus's Rules posts, as well as gaining 7,000 followers, and I'm just so grateful to everyone and their lovely comments and their support. Thank you very much. All of the Remus Rules posts from the very beginning can be found on my YouTube page. There's a link in my profile.